Would you fly across the world to spend a week with 9 women you'd never met? I took that leap and landed in Morocco, not knowing what to expect. But what I found was connection, inspiration, and a bond that will stay with me forever. So come with me on the trip of a lifetime. Alright guys, I am zooming in through the airport right now because I'm going on a group trip this week with a bunch of travel bloggers who I've never met. I'm going to take you along with me. We're going to Morocco and I'm in Dulce Airport. It took me almost 2 hours to get here from my house and it usually takes 30 minutes. So I am rushing to my gate. I'm still early because I am an early bird. So hopefully all is well and maybe I even have time to get a drink or something before a red eye. Always get TSA pre-check or global entry. It took me approximately 1 minute to get through security, so I'm gonna make my flight. It's funny that I was rushing to the airport, but was stressed about making my flight. Still was able to go to the bathroom and get a drink. I made my flight and began my journey with nerves and restless excitement settling in. Although I had chatted with these women on monthly calls and group chats through our blogging course with Bree, our fearless leader and coach, we had never gotten the chance to meet in person. But we had been planning this trip for months. Luckily, I met up with 2 other women, Carrie and Hannah, on our layover in Paris before flying into Morocco. It was a great way to ease into meeting other women. We made it! My nerves quickly vanished as Hannah, Carrie, and I quickly fell into joking and chatting as if we had known each other for a long time. I knew this was going to be the start of something really special. As we drove through Morocco, the 3 of us were taken by the sights and scenes of the busy city of Marrakesh. We stared out the windows and marveled at the architecture, the cars, the people. After a long day of travel, the 3 of us quickly checked into our hotel and then grabbed a bite to eat at a nearby cafe. We were quickly surprised that the cafe was French and had wonderful pastries and great food. Later that night, it was finally time to meet up with all of the women for a welcome dinner. It was the perfect way to begin the trip and get ready to go. We met our guide Aziz, who would come to teach us much about Morocco.
So guys, when we are talking about Morocco, we are talking about the thing that we need to mention is the native people of this land, is the Amazigh people, Berbers. I am an Amazigh, Khalid is an Amazigh too. We are speaking Amazigh language.
Day 1 took us out of Marrakesh through windy roads to get to the stunning area of the high Atlas Mountains. Below us were stunning valleys and beautiful creeks. Above us was a bright sun. We drove from Marrakesh for an hour. I got super car sick on the windy roads. Now we're going out on a group hike all together. The night before, we packed an overnight bag or backpack because we had to trek to our next destination, a home that was nestled into the hills of the Atlas Mountains. On the way up, we started to chat and learn more about each other and take in the gorgeous surroundings. I had never seen homes built into the mountainside like these. It was such a stunning sight. We all took so many photos and enjoyed the views. As we crested over the hill, we finally got a view of the whole town, and it truly took our breaths away. Plus, we were a little tired from the hike up. We felt like we were truly getting an authentic experience because we were hiking through the towns and the roads, and we ended up staying at a home where we had a wonderful Moroccan lunch and a beautiful view of the mountains next to it. It felt so nice to have some warm food because the air outside was pretty cold in the mountains. But after lunch, it was time to get back outside for a group hike. I find that there's truly no better way to get to know someone than out on a hike or an outdoor walk. You just feel a lot more free and open, and I've had some of my best conversations while out on the trails. I felt like I got to know some of the women much better on this hike. And this trail does take you to the highest point in the Atlas Mountains, but we were not going that far on this journey. Instead, we stopped to have Moroccan mint tea. If you ever visit Morocco, then you'll definitely try mint tea. We had it at least once a day, if not 3 times. It's a mixture of green tea and mint. And if you want sugar, which I always had, we got to enjoy this in the beautiful landscape before heading back down. We journeyed back down the mountain to settle in for the night. Along the way, we passed school children walking their sheep and playing soccer on a field. And as the light dimmed in the valley, it started to feel really cozy in the home. We all nestled near the fire, had some more Moroccan mint tea, and enjoyed cookies as we watched the sun go down outside. We donned our slippers and put on our layers to stay cozy and warm in the house while enjoying a wonderful dinner around the table. We started to truly learn more about each other, and after dinner, we put on a warm blanket and chatted and giggled around the fire. It was such a fun night, and we began to feel really close to each other. It's crazy, we all come from all over, some as far as Australia, New Zealand, others from Europe, others from the US, but we all are striving for one thing: to work for ourselves, explore the world, and enjoy life while we can. Sadly, the next morning we had to walk back down the mountain, but we were greeted by the music from locals for a welcome ceremony. Of course, every day in Morocco starts with a cup of nous, which is half and half and coffee and a little biscuit before beginning our journey onward. We had a lot of things to do today, but what I've noticed about the Moroccan people is how hospitable they are. This local family welcomed us into lunch, made us an assortment of beautiful salads, a chicken tagine, and a cinnamon pasta dish, and it was perfect. It fueled us up for the long journey ahead. This Morocco trip, we had a lot of long car drives, but they went really fast because we often were chatting or joking or just having a good time on the drive. We went over the mountains and then back down into the town of Ait Benhaddou, known for filming multiple movies including The Gladiator. It's also known as a UNESCO World Heritage Site for the beautiful fortified village that has mud brick architecture and attracts many visitors to town. Our guide Aziz knows exactly what all of these content creators want, and he took us up to the top of the village to watch the sun go down. It was a magical place to watch the sunset, but it was also the first place that all of us decided to whip out our cameras and really start working on taking the perfect shot or the perfect video. So the behind the scenes looked a little bit more like this. That next morning, we went to a women's collective where we learned about how they make rugs by hand. I can't believe the amount of work that goes into these beautiful rugs, and I can't wait to purchase one for my own home one day. After that, it was on to the local Atlas Studios, where we learned about the films that were made nearby Ait Benhaddou. In these studios, they film multiple things like The Mummy, Gladiator, and Aladdin. It was so cool to get to step behind the scenes, and we even got to make some of our own movies. So stay tuned to watch one of those and enjoy. Yes, that's right. I starred as Cleopatra in our beautiful movie, but we made a few other ones that were just as fun before getting back on the road to explore even more places. We were heading south to the town of Zagora, where we had a beautiful hotel. The air was finally warm and we all were enjoying the sunshine. We dreamed about relaxing by the pool, but this trip was not for relaxing, so instead we went on a wonderful walk through the palm trees and the oases to a magical place. And although the palm tree setting was beautiful, what I'll remember about this walk is learning more about Aziz and starting to connect with him as a group. He took us to a local man's house where he made tea for us over charcoal. This was the best tea that we had the entire trip. And of course, having this tea that late in the evening made it so none of us were tired. So over dinner, we began to chat, and we couldn't stop chatting. We chatted until about 12:30 at night about deep personal issues that were affecting us all. There's something so special about connecting with other women, and the majority of us travel with our male partners full-time, so I think a bunch of us were craving a women's trip and this deep connection. Of course, this meant we were tired the next morning, but there was plenty more to do and see, and this day was the one that we were all most excited for. Here's a little sneak peek or hint as to what we are going to do later today. But before we get to all that, we first went to learn more about the local people. We tried the bread that the women make, we explored the alleyways that they live in, and we watched the men make pottery. It was so impressive at all of the hard work they put into this. They were just cranking out bowls after bowls and plate after plate. So of course, once we got into the shop later, all of us wanted to get a souvenir to take home. It means a lot more to use something at home that you know where it came from. And after we did all of our local touring, we ended at lunch where we had some Berber pizza to fuel up for our journey. And now let's get to the most fun part of the trip, our journey into the Sahara Desert. All of us tumbled into four-wheel drive vehicles as we were thrown around the sand dunes. I mean, nothing says Sahara Desert like a bumpy ride and running into some camel on the way, am I right? After a 2-hour journey through the sand dunes, we finally made it to our camp for the night. It was perfect. We were all in love with the setting and couldn't wait to get up and explore the dunes.
So safe and relax, nothing will happen.
It was time for a camel ride up into the dunes of the Sahara Desert, a place that I had dreamed of going my entire life. This was the thing we had all been waiting for. We took the camels up right around golden hour to experience the dunes at sunset, and we ended up climbing up to the tallest dune in the area. This landscape was absolutely mesmerizing, and we all loved taking videos and photos of it. But unfortunately, while I was standing at the top of the dune, my water bottle ended up rolling all the way to the bottom. Luckily for me, the local was incredibly fit and ran to get it for me. He was truly a hero and a lifesaver because I did not know how I was going to go down there and come back up. Honestly, the Sahara exceeded all of my expectations. I loved watching the sunset over the dunes, and we all took a moment just to sit in gratitude for having the time together, this experience, and being in a beautiful place like this. After sunset, we went back to camp, enjoyed a wonderful dinner, and then sat around the campfire to stargaze and play some music with our local hosts. night together under the stars, I woke up feeling so grateful for this trip and this experience and this time with all of these women. I got to experience the sunrise by myself for a little bit before the others joined me, and I was truly at peace in this moment. We left the Sahara Desert and through parts where they had gotten tons and tons of rain, meaning that the grasses and water had finally grown, making this a beautiful oasis. We had a really long journey today, 3 hours in the sand dunes and then another 3 hours by bus. So we all thought, what could we do to pass the time, and decided to play the game Hot Seat, where we got to ask each other personal questions and we had to answer. It honestly was one of the most incredible moments. Each of us took our turn sharing about our lives, the things we hoped for, the things we dreamed for, the things we wanted to get out of this trip, the things we wanted to do. It was truly the best way to spend one of our last days of the journey. I loved learning more about each other's lives, where they came from, what brought them here, and what made them start blogging in the first place. We had all had such vastly different lives, but we all came together in this moment to experience this place together. And nothing felt more perfect than ending the day in this beautiful Riad in Morocco, where we got to enjoy the gardens and take a cool dip in the water. And it was all going so well until Carrie and I had an ant infestation in our bathtub.
We had an ant infestation in our shower, so we got upgraded, downgraded, who knows? We got graded to a honeymoon, so we got a little sitting room, beds so close together. This is our crib, no door to the bathroom. We can shower and bathe together at the same time. And use the toilet at the same time. Can't wait.
We actually ended up moving back to our old room and just taking showers from our friends, which was really nice of them. And then the next morning we got back on the road and decided that this was the day we played Hot Seat with Aziz, our guide. So we spent the day asking him questions, learning more about his life, what he's done, and what he likes. Aziz really had so much patience with all of us throughout the whole week. He was the perfect guide for all of us women, and we had so much fun asking him these questions, including, what's your favorite food?
You will not like it, but I will tell you, I love it so much. So what do? There is a stomach of the stomach of the sheep, of the ram, or a goat. They eat either. So what you do, you take the stomach, you open it, and you clean it you have to clean it very, very much.
And as we made our way back to Marrakesh on our last day, it truly felt like the trip was coming to an end. There was sort of somber attitude in the air. We were all exhausted from all the things we had done that week. And we were reflecting on what this trip had meant to all of us. And although we still had some more tours to do in Marrakesh, a very busy and fast city, my mind had slowed down. I was looking at the things around me, but I wasn't as focused on taking them all in. Instead, I was thinking about what we had all experienced in this past week. And although it was only 7 days, it had felt like we had spent months together. I felt so close to each of the people on this trip, and I was sad to see it come to an end. To me, it felt like a breath of fresh air to meet women who inspire me, who understand me, and who want similar things out of their lives as me. They know what it means to live an unconventional lifestyle. They go for what they want, and they aren't afraid. I learned so much from each of these women during this week in Morocco, and I will feel a deep connection with them for the rest of my life. I look back on this trip with such joy, and I truly hope we can all meet again one day. It was one of the best weeks of my life. We had time for one final dinner with Aziz as he sent us off. So thank you to Morocco, to Aziz, our wonderful guide, to Bree, our group leader and the woman who inspires us all, and the 9 other women that I've become incredibly close to. I will always talk about this trip with others and think about it for the rest of my life.